Okay, so backtrack just a little. I think the questions we want to answer are, what exactly is Slack? How can you get access to it? How do you submit an inquiry, and what is that interaction going to be? And then I have just some resources from Slack. Again, I think everybody on this call has accessed Slack, so I will try to not breeze through this, but also not belabor it. There are essentially 3 ways for you to interact with Slack. You can do it through their website, just slack.com, and you can log into the workspace through the web browser. You can also download a desktop app. It works both on Windows and on Mac, so you can have an application on your desktop. You can also access it through a mobile device and an application that you can get for that device. So whether that's a phone or a tablet, you should be able to get the Slack application and access it through there. I did include a link to a basic Slack demo that will simply answer some of the highest level questions of, how to interact with a workspace, but we're going to get into some of that on future slides as well. So I think the way that most people are accessing this workspace right now are either the link from the newsletter or from an invitation directly from Resource Express support. But once you have gotten that invitation or clicked on a link, you should automatically be joined to our 4 channels. That is Express support, special events, announcements, and meeting requests. And we'll talk a little bit more about each one of those in upcoming slides. When you log in, you just want to confirm that you're in the Resource Express support workspace and that you are signed in as yourself. And then these 4 channels of communication should be listed immediately beneath your workspace name. All communication happens via channels. So these are simply ways for us to categorize and contain those messages within specific channels. So if you think about channels as kind of like a folder where you would save documents, Express support is where all basic inquiries will come in. So all you have to do is when you open up your workspace is click on that hashtag Express support, and it will open up a text box for you to enter in information. We will push out information via the special events channel and the announcements channel. So anything that's coming from us to the community can be pushed out really via any of those channels, but specifically through special events for any upcoming on-sites, courses, webinars, that kind of thing. And then any sort of software updates or user guides could come through that announcements channel. The meeting request channel is if you want to speak with somebody and you want to request a Zoom call or a phone call, you can do it through that meeting request channel. So when an inquiry comes in, we will see that in the Express support channel. What we will do from the ResourceX side of things is pull that conversation into a thread. So if you think of a channel as kind of a high-level folder, the thread is going to be more specific. One thing that we benefit from with the thread is it pulls this one specific conversation out of the general mix of conversations. That way we can have a continuous communication on a specific topic. When we pull your inquiry into that thread, we will notify you that we have done that. And that will indicate to you that we are working on that specific inquiry. And then once we've had all of the communications about that inquiry and we believe that it is closed, we will tag that particular thread with the Resource X. Anything that we communicate within the Express support channel or the other 3 channels or any thread, you can come back to the Slack workspace and use the search box at the top of the page to find that communication. So any documents that have been shared or any communications can be referenced in the future. We are already doing that, so we'll move on. So what I wanted to do, I'm happy to take any questions at this point, but what I really wanted to do is simply get into my Slack application and just show you how we are using this. So anybody is more than welcome to ask questions at this point while I pull my Slack application over. So this is the Resource Express Slack channel. As you can see, or workspace, excuse me. We have workspace, channel, thread. So we have these 4 channels right here. And what will happen is when an inquiry comes in, we will tag it and move it over here to a thread. This way, we can have an uninterrupted communication. We can also invite other members of the ResourceX team to join that conversation. And I got a great example from Becca the other day where we had 9 replies from 4 different people on one specific issue. We certainly don't want to muddy the waters with too much information, but I do think that this is a wonderful opportunity for us to apply all of the expertise from across the entire ResourceX organization, but also to include other members of the Express Support Workspace, whether that is from another organization or from within ResourceX. We can invite them to participate in that conversation. And I am currently having a conversation with Marley right here. And so what we can do is Marley and I are communicating via this thread. Once we get some confirmation that the work that we're doing has been completed, I will mark it with an X, right like this, and you'll know that that support inquiry has been closed. You can always, again, search for that thread and reopen it if you want to, or you could simply submit a new inquiry via this box here at the bottom. That will automatically put your inquiry into the Express Support channel where all of ResourceX has access to it, and we will identify who's taking care of that and begin working on that inquiry. If you wanted to request a meeting, you can just make a request via this channel, and again, we will push out information via announcement and special events. I'm going to, let's see. Oh, Becca says, okay, thank you, Becca. That's a very good question. There is a 10,000 message limit for immediate searchability. If it goes beyond that, and you can still search within all of the communications that are on this channel. If you wanted a downloaded copy of a communication that you needed to share internally or for whatever purpose, we can access that for you. So if you needed a copy of a thread from, let's say, 3 months ago, we can work with Slack to get that communication for you. So you can expect that they will be there indefinitely. If you can't get the download, or if you can't get what you need, simply let us know and we will work to get that information for you. We have access to it, we just have to work with Slack. And in that vein, here are some additional links to Slack's Help Center. Their help has been very, very efficient and helpful, but this is some additional information on their terms of services, how we could export communications for you, their security practices, and their privacy policy. So if you want to access that, feel free to do so via one of these links. Are there any questions or anything else I could demonstrate for you all? I know this is very basic, so let me know if you need to get a little bit more in the details. Has anybody had difficulty accessing it? Sounds like a no. If you do, send us an email as you have in previous communications. We'll forward it into the Express Support workspace and reply to you from there. So once you have your workspace set up, you should be notified that way. For the interim, just while we're getting everybody accustomed to it, I will also include an email with a link to something if I'm worried that you have not responded to something or I'm worried that you haven't seen it. So we will still be double checking to make sure all communication is happening as streamlined and efficient as possible. But I do feel like this interface has already proven to increase communication among all of us, and also has just been a very efficient way to communicate. All right. Well, that was a quick 12-minute meeting. If anybody has other questions, I'm more than happy to stay on the line. Otherwise, I give you the gift of 18 minutes that you have blocked on your calendar for something else. Okay. Thank you all so much for joining and for participating. I know anything new is always a little bit different to get used to, but I really have high expectations for this and really appreciate your support of our movement to the Resource Express support channel. Okay, well, thank you all. I will stay on the line for a couple of minutes in case anybody has any questions. Otherwise, you are free to go and slack about.